Hey there, friends. All right, I'm coming to you super, super excited because I'm heading to Ireland and Scotland. I'm going to be walking ancient sacred land, standing in the places that have held so many prayers and ceremonies for thousands of years, and my heart is super excited about it. And while I'm over there soaking all that in, collecting stories and taking in the energy of these incredible places, I am going to miss all of you here. And I wanted to make sure that our community stays connected and full of good things to listen to. So I pulled together some of the most loved School of Light podcast episodes for you. These are the conversations that keep coming up and the ones that people message me about and just say, hey, thanks so much. I needed that. So I think they'll bring you some comfort, some clarity, and healing. And I think they're a good opportunity while I'm gone to still stay connected. And hey, if you've heard it before, maybe it's a message that you need to hear again. I will be back very soon with new episodes, new stories, and so much to share from this journey. And I cannot wait to bring a piece of Ireland and Scotland back home to all of you. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for keeping the light on while I'm out there walking in it. And I appreciate you. So also keep an eye out for my shorts because I'm going to be adding some things while I'm there to give you a taste of what we're experiencing. All right, guys, so much love from almost across the pond. Welcome, everyone, to another webcast with me, Sunny Dawn Johnston. Tonight's webcast is on boundaries. Boundaries. Oh my gosh, if I have said that word once, I've said it a million times, boundaries, not just for clients and students, but for myself as well. And I think that so often we struggle with boundaries because we feel like we're not being nice, or we feel like we aren't being loving, or we feel like it's our job, or it's always been something that we've done. And so people don't really know how to say no, how to be able to be um, honoring of themselves, loving themselves, and for a lot of different reasons. But one of the greatest reasons is because that's how we were taught. Not because, anybody was bad or anybody was wrong, but because they were teaching what they knew. And we haven't been given the tools, I guess, to learn that from a very young age, to take care of ourselves and to honor ourselves and to love us and to not be doormats to other people and to have healthy personal boundaries. So I'm going to begin tonight with some questions. And so I'm going to read these questions, and I just want you to think about them and how some of them may or may not apply. So maybe you've been working on boundaries for a while. Maybe you have been really focused on um, how can I maintain the boundaries that I create. Maybe you're working on just creating the boundaries and you haven't even gotten to the maintenance part. And maybe you just are very frustrated because you don't know how to be able to hold them. So you're going to be in varying places based on, wherever you are in your life. And that's always changing. So I'm going to read these to you, and I just want you to think about it. So these are ways that you deny your true value or your true self, which weakens those boundaries. Okay. And these are more, I'm focusing on emotional boundaries right now. Pretending to agree when you don't. So do you do these things? Pretending to agree when you don't. Concealing your true feelings. Not being honest about how you really feel. Going along with an activity that you don't really want to do. Okay. You don't really want to do it, but you just go along with it anyway. Never stating, declining to join an activity that you do really want to do. So not joining because you're embarrassed, because you think that you're going to stand out, because you might be judged, even though you really want to go. Pushing yourself beyond your limits, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually even, pushing yourself beyond your limits. Working too hard or too long. So again, the intensity or the length of time. Doing too much for others. Do you not know when to stop? Are you codependent? Are you always in a space of getting your value from doing something for someone else instead of doing something and being something for yourself? Not resting when you're tired. Not listening to your body. Not eating regular healthy meals, and just kind of throwing something down to get something down. And all of these, obviously, once in a while, that's okay. Has it become a habit? Has it become an excuse as to why then you can't kind of hold your own energy? Ignoring your needs, whatever those might be, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in place of somebody else's needs. Too little or too much time alone. So are you not ever taking that quiet time, or are you isolating yourself? Too much or too little exercise. Insufficient contact with people who you really care about, so keeping everybody at a distance. Doing too many leisure activities and not actually focusing enough on work, or working too much and not having enough leisurely activities. Using chemicals to avoid yourself. Drugs, alcohol. Or using compulsions to avoid yourself. TV, food, exercise, shopping, work, spending money, sex, games, Facebook, that you do compulsively or to excess. So these are some of the ways that you can deny your true value and your true self and weaken those emotional boundaries. So when those boundaries are weakened, when your emotional boundaries are weakened, what happens? Well, you feel irritated, you feel frustrated, you feel angry. Usually you have a lot of fear and probably some blame, because instead of being able to look at myself, I'm going to project it onto other people. Boundaries are one of the greatest challenges for people, because we recognize that we need them, but we don't feel good enough to stick to them oftentimes. So as you're thinking about some of the ways that you might do some of those activities, I'm going to give you a quiz. So hopefully you're sitting in a place where you can take a moment to and you can just use your hand on this quiz. You don't have to write it down, write the answers down. You can just count on your fingers, your yeses or your nos, okay? So answering true or false, yes or no. Do any of these statements pertain to you? So let's start there so we can get an idea of and where your boundaries are, and really be honest with yourself. So I remember when I was a child, especially, I used to do some of these quizzes to find out about your personality and things like that. And I always knew intuitively what the right answer was. So I would answer the right answer instead of the answer that was true, just so that I would get the better score or the better personality or whatever it happened to be on the test. Don't cheat yourself. Be honest. Okay, here's your questions. There's only 10. You have 10 fingers. So if it's a true, just keep it on a finger. I lie about my feelings if the truth might upset someone. I lie about my feelings if the truth might upset someone. Number 2, I want people to sense it when I've really hit my limit so that I don't have to say anything. They should just know. I want people to sense it so that I don't have to speak up. They should just know when I'm at my max. Number 3, I go blank when I'm asked what I like, what I want, or what I think. Number 4, my to-do list includes things that I don't have to do and things that I don't want to do. Now, that second one's a little bit, because there are some things, sometimes you don't really feel like doing something, but don't have to do. There's things I don't have to do and or don't want to do. Number 5, I eat, cry, smoke, drink, or drug when I'm angry. Eat, cry, smoke, drink, drug. You can put shop or gamble or sex or whatever that addiction pattern might be, if that's something that applies to you. Number 6, I sometimes feel quite drained and I explode at my loved ones, and then I feel the guilt and shame around it. So I feel drained, I'm overtaxed, and then I blow up and then feel guilty, and that's very likely it's a pattern. Number 7, I feel panicky about the thought of someone disliking me or disapproving of me. So when you think about letting somebody down, you literally feel it in your body. You can't handle it. Number 8, I feel virtuous when I override my own needs or wishes to please others. Virtuous. Number 9, I feel resentful while doing things for others. Now, this one's a little bit tricky because there might be some people that you don't feel resentful for, but this is just a basic in general terms for yourself. Do you do things for others? And it could be your kids, it can be your husband, it can be your wife, it can be your mother. Do you feel resentful doing things for other people? And number 10, I complain about other people's needs and demands when they're not around. So you do what it is that you need to do, but then you bitch about it afterwards. Okay, so those are your 10 questions. How many truths do you have? How many truths? How many apply to you? And for those of you that are live with us right now, I want you to just put that in the comment section. How many truths do you have? Be honest. Because if you're not honest, that was the first one. Lie about your feelings if the truth might upset someone. Well, it's not going to upset me, but it might upset you. The truth might upset you. So if you answered true to one of those statements, just one, then you need to work on that particular action and reaction. If you answered true to 3 or more of those statements, 3 or more, you need some help with boundaries. It's a good thing that you're here tonight. Okay? 3 or more, then you need some help because it means you kind of suck with boundaries. And my sense is that there are a lot of you that kind of suck with boundaries. True? Is that true, Chris? Yeah. So I'm going to give you some examples from my life about boundaries. And because I already intuitively can tell that most of you did not just have 1 or 2. So when we talk about some of those things, one of the ones that kind of stands out to me is lie about the feelings that the truth might upset someone. So just kind of let it go. So instead of being honest and saying how you feel, you lie to yourself. And what does that do to your vibration? What does that do to your your power when you aren't honest with yourself? Number 1, you have to remember your lies then. It's always easier to be honest because then you got to keep track of your lies. But what it does is it takes away from your energy. It takes away from your power. It takes away from your ability to be an equal partnership or an equal friendship or whatever, whoever it is that we're dealing with when you're not honest. Now, oftentimes then that goes into blaming. Well, but they this, or they couldn't do that, or I can't tell them because it'll break their heart or whatever. Honesty is always the best policy, even when it's hard. And there is a loving way to say everything. And I'm going to give you some of those words later on, ways to be able to express how you feel, because that's very, very necessary. I loved this one. I just think people should know how I feel. So if I'm at my max, they should know it and they should do something about it. Well, why should they know it? They've got their own energy that they're dealing with. Why should they be more observant of your energy than you are? And then more communicative about it. Why? Because it's easier for you? Because then you don't have to hurt anybody or break anybody's heart or speak up? Absolutely, that's why. But how does that then support you? How does that allow you to expand and grow and be authentic in who you are? If you expect people to just know where you are, I am telling you what, you are going to be disappointed over and over and over again. So I'm going to give you a little story about that. I've shared this in several classes, so some of you may have heard it, but in this work professionally, before that, I stepped into a certification program to become a minister and a spiritual counselor and to receive a master's of religious science and all these different classes. So it was a 2 to 3 year program. And so I had been a stay-at-home mom, and I had at that time a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old. And I was going to class, and before I'd go to class, I'd get everything ready. I'd get dinner ready, I'd get the house cleaned up, I'd get the kids ready, get their baths and everything ready so that I could leave the house at 6:15, and my husband would get home. He could just give them dinner and not have to do anything. And I did that for 6 months, and I was irritated. And I never told him, although I acted like it, and he should have known. I never told him because I didn't want to upset him. I really felt like it was my job to do it. And so I just did my thing. And one day was the day. You all know what that means. It was the day that I was over my max. I'd had it. And so I got dinner ready, and he came home, and I think he might have said something. I don't remember what it was, and he didn't say anything rude, but he might have said, like, why are you rushing around so much for? Something like that. And that pissed me off. And so I was like, what do you mean? What am I rushing around? I do this every single time. I got to get dinner ready. I got to get the kids ready. I try to get the house cleaned up. I always do this, and I am done because today was a really hard day and I can't do it anymore. Why don't you just make dinner? And he's like, okay. And I said, well, that's the wrong answer. Like, why didn't you ever offer to make it before? He said, you never asked. Oh, so pissed. Like, are you kidding me? I never asked. You can't see with your eyes that I'm running around crazy trying to get everything done and just offer, and instead you're going to wait for me to ask? I was really ticked. And then as I sat with it for a little bit, that's exactly what I heard. Is how is he supposed to know if you don't speak up? If you don't have enough value in yourself to ask for help, why should he help you? Huh. There's an idea. So think about that. Where are the areas that you need help or that you want help, but you don't speak up? Don't wait until you're burned out. Don't wait until you're pissed off or angry. Ask now. Don't have an expectation that they're going to, but you can certainly ask and ask with an open mind and an open heart. My to-do list includes things that I don't have to do, things that I don't want to do. And this one's a little bit iffy because there are things that we all do that we probably don't really love to do. We might like to do them, or they might be okay. Or there might be things like I got to wash the dog, and maybe you don't love to do that, but you love your dog. So that's a part of that because you chose to have that. Or, you don't really love to do the laundry, but you love to have clothes, or you love to have clothes on the people that are in your house so that you don't have to see them naked all the time. So I would look at it kind of from that perspective, but things that I don't have to do. So let's talk about that have to. What is have to? Is it in my head that I'm responsible for it, but there are other people that could do it, and I've just made myself the responsible one, the one that does everything, the martyr? Or is it I have to because in order to get to here, I need to do this? What I would look at is where the energy is coming from in the have to. I have to run my accounting program so that I can make the deposits for my business. Okay, yeah, I have to do that, and I'm okay with that because the blessing and the gift and the abundance that I receive from it feels good to me, and so that's a have to. But if there's a have to, like, gosh, I have to make dinner because nobody else can do it, and I have a husband and a 16-year-old son. That's not a have to. That's always been your role. You see what I'm saying? So look at those and really get clear on, is that true that you really have to? And some of them it might be, but I bet some of them it's not. You've just made yourself that person. I like this one. I feel virtuous when I override my own needs or wishes to please others. So when I put myself at the bottom of the list, at the back of the bus, and let everybody else go in front, I feel good about me. Okay. Sometimes it feels good to take care of somebody else and to do something for somebody else. But I will guarantee you that if you continue to do that, you have no energy left and you become resentful and angry and bitter and frustrated and all kinds of other things. Because if you're always the one to give and you never receive, then you don't have a way to fill up. So eventually you're going to get empty. And when you get empty, you're going to be irritated. So instead of feeling virtuous about that, you want to look at it as an exchange of energy. There are times when I feel like I want to be on the front of the bus. I want to be on the top of the list. I want to put myself first. And there might be times where it feels true and right and appropriate and in alignment for me to take a step back and help somebody else. But we've been taught, most of us, to make sure everybody else is taken care of first. And I know this isn't a popular answer, but it's the one I will tell you over and over again. That's bullshit. Because if you take care of everybody else first, you will never, ever, ever get to you. There's too many people. There's too much to do. There's too many have-tos. And if you're on that plane that's going down into the water and you put their mask on first, you're gone. And then they're left to try to figure out how to live without you taking care of them and you doing everything for them. And that actually is your responsibility. So instead, if you can be responsible for your energy and teach people how to be able to be healthy in their choices, then they can be healthy in their choices. But if you teach dependence instead, they're dependent on you. If you teach that instead, then they're going to struggle when you don't get that oxygen mask on. I know that might feel a little bit harsh. It's true. In my experience. I eat, cry, smoke, drink, have sex, shop, gamble when I'm angry or when I'm sad or depressed. Boundaries. So you're hurting you. Nobody else. Although there's a ripple effect of all of those, certainly. But you are not honoring and loving you. And the last one I'm going to just focus on real quick. I feel panicky at the thought of someone disliking or disapproving of me. So, well, what if they don't like me? Well, join the crowd. What if they disapprove of me? Well, join the crowd. That's okay. Does that define you? Does what other people think about you define who you are? So there could be somebody that's watching this tonight, maybe, that disapproves of what I'm saying right now. And that's okay. They have a right to their opinion. But does their disapproval make that true? So for the rest of you that are listening, that might be in alignment with some of this message, does their disapproval define that my message isn't right, or that my message isn't true, or that my message isn't good? And if I let their disapproval define that, guess what? We don't have this class. And I will tell you from a very, very young age, if I would have let disapproval define who I was, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. I've had lots of disapproval in my life and a lot of people that have not liked what I've done or said or been. And I'm not saying that all the times that was happening, that they didn't have some truth in that. But what I am saying is that you have to find a way to love yourself, trust in where you are, forgive yourself for wherever you've been, and open up to the fact that their opinion is not your business. It just isn't. I did a webcast a couple months ago. Your opinion of me is none of my business. I got t-shirts. I have those t-shirts, actually. I still have one or two of them, I think. Your opinion of me is none of my business. It's just saying that my value isn't based on your opinion. My value is based on who I am, and who I am is spirit embodied. The end. Who you are is spirit embodied. So boundaries. Let's come back to boundaries. What are they? Well, there's physical, mental, emotional, and energetic boundaries. Physical boundary is going to be the boundary that this is my skin and I get to choose who can touch it or who can't, or who I want in this physical space. Or if my house might be a boundary and I have the door locked, that's a boundary for people. So physical. Mental, people are really sloppy with their mental boundaries. What kind of shit do you let in your head? And most of that's not coming from other people. Now, like that disapproval thing, that would be part of that. Okay, that mental, oh, what are they thinking? And all this time that you spend in your head. But you're worse than they are, I'll bet. How do I know that? I've been there. I've been there. So that mental tape that you run, those stories that you tell yourself about why you're not good enough, or why people wouldn't like you, or why you can't be successful, or why you're never going to get married, or why you have this particular disease, or poor you, or whatever it is, that mental storytelling really needs to get some focus and some boundaries. And if it does not feel good, the thought that you're thinking, it is not good for you. So you have to be so clear and so focused on all of those thoughts to clean up your mental energy so that you can move into a healthier place and into a higher vibration. Okay, physical, mental, emotional boundaries. So a lot of the things that we talked about in the first part of that were the emotional boundaries. Pretending to agree with people when you don't really, or not telling the truth, or not speaking up for yourself, or not doing the things that you want to do. All of the things that you feel in your body that put you at harm, and you can feel that harm. Like you feel it when you're not being honest. And you feel it when you say, yeah, I'll do that, and it doesn't feel good to you. You feel that. Pay attention to it. Physical, mental, emotional, and energetic. Energetic boundaries. Now, to me, energetic boundaries are more important than all of the others. To me. And the reason that is because if I clean up my energetic vibration, if I create boundaries around my energetic body, then I'm able to observe and witness other people's energy. And I don't take it on and absorb it as my own. Because when I take on people's energy and absorb it as my own, my physical, mental, and emotional boundaries are gone. I've taken it on and said, come on home with me, and your trouble is my trouble, and we'll figure out a way to fix it. But I'm not talking to them. That's what I'm doing within myself. Energetic boundaries to me are the most important, because if I create energetic boundaries, then I have the energy to be able to hold the other boundaries. I have the clarity to be able to see where I end and somebody else begins. What's mine and what's not mine. When I don't have that energetic boundary, I'm a big old muddled mess. And then I don't know where the emotional boundaries are, the physical boundaries are, the mental boundaries are. So my suggestion would be to start there. Energetic boundaries. So what is an energetic boundary? An energetic boundary is something that says, this is my space. This is my energetic space. It's nothing to do with my physical body. It's my energetic space. I get to choose what lives inside of this energetic space. I get to choose what I allow into it. And I do not choose to have energy that is not in alignment, that does not feel good to me. I do not choose to absorb the energy of anybody out here. Anyone, my children, my spouse, my parents, my very best friend. I carry and hold my own energy so that it can be a clear vessel to be able to be of support, loving support to all of these people when I'm full. And when I hold my own energy, I can maintain that fullness. But if I am, on the other hand, sloppy with my energetic boundaries or have none, then I'm giving to this person, I'm giving to this person, I'm giving to this person. I've absorbed their pain, their sadness, their anger, their frustration, sometimes their illness. And as much energy as I bring in goes out immediately, and I never feel connected, grounded, peaceful, secure, safe, connected, because it's a constant drain of energy for me. How many of you relate to that? So if you're online, what I'd like you to do is just write down what you feel like is your biggest struggle with boundaries. And I'm going to just talk about a few of those topics that you guys bring up. What is your biggest struggle? So, like I said, for me, if you hold your energetic boundaries, then your emotional and your physical and your mental boundaries are going to be in a better place simply because of that. So that's where I would start. It's like, instead of putting a Band-Aid on top of things, let's get to the core of it. Let's get to the very, very beginning of it, and then start having the ripple effect of cleaning up my emotional boundaries and cleaning up my physical boundaries and speaking the truth to people and being honest about where I'm at and what I want and where I want to go and saying, you know what, this doesn't feel good to me, and all of those things which can come. But if I don't have my energy clear, then I don't know if it's your stuff or my stuff. As long as I don't know if it's your stuff or my stuff, I'm going to believe it's all my stuff. And if I believe it's all my stuff, I got a big problem, because then I can't heal it. I cannot heal your stuff. So if I'm carrying your stuff and I can't heal your stuff, I can only heal my stuff. Well, I don't feel like I'm getting better then. I don't feel like I'm getting clearer then. I don't feel like I'm having peace because I'm still carrying your stuff. So let's go to some of the comments, thoughts.
Yeah. We have a question. How do you tell the difference between needing to say no and being compassionate because the other person is doing what they are because they're in pain?
The way that you know, that's a really great question. The way that you know that you need to say no versus being compassionate is when it's even a question for you, number one. So if it's a question, I would say it's probably that you need to say no. The other way I would know is what my body says. I pay attention to how my body feels. That's always a signal to me. So if my body gets tight and I'm saying yes and my body gets tight, oh, yeah, that was the wrong answer, Sonny. And I do want to talk about that a little bit, so I'll just go there right now. Saying yes. How many of you say yes to everything? You just, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can help you. Yeah, I can help you. Oh, yeah, I'll get that. I'll get to that. How many of you say yes to your kids' school and yes to your husband's work and yes to your friends and yes to your family and yes to Thanksgiving? And so you say yes to all of those things and feel overwhelmed. Now, if you say yes and you are excited and you want to do it and you love it and it's fun and it feels really good to you and you have the energy to do it, by all means, do it. As long as you're not doing it because you feel responsible or you feel like you have to, do it. I say yes to a lot of things. Many of you that are clients and students of mine, you know that. You see what I do. I say yes to a lot of things. My energy doesn't get drained. People ask me all the time, how do you do everything you do? And the first few times, I mean, people have asked me that, the last 15 years, but especially as I've gotten busier and people will say that, the first few times people ask me, I was like, why do they ask me that? Like, I'm just doing what I do. But what I started to realize was I say yes to the things that feel good. Now, I haven't always been that way. So I understand saying yes out of a place of responsibility and out of a place of guilt and out of a place of poor them. I get it. I've been there. But what I started realizing, and part of this was because I did get busier, I had to get some priorities. And one of my priorities is, if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. If it's not fun, I don't want to do it. Now, my idea of fun and your idea of fun would be very different, I'm sure. I have a lot of things that are fun to me that not everybody thinks are fun. I have fun organizing a closet. I had not my clothes closet though. I don't like organizing my clothes closet. But like my office or my filing cabinets, I have fun doing accounting. I have fun learning about QuickBooks. I have fun going for a walk. I have fun playing with my dogs. I have fun doing my bills. Like I write, thank you very much, and put a little peace sign on all of my checks. Like I have fun with so many aspects of my life. I have fun teaching and I have fun speaking, but I'm not going to teach a class that I don't think is fun. Even if the topic might be heavy, like, last week I did a class on guilt and shame. That was a tough topic, but I had fun doing it. It brought me joy because I could see some of the eyes opening and some of the healing occurring. So that to me feels good. And if it feels good, I'll do it. If it doesn't feel good, I'm not willing to lose my energy to do something that I don't have to do. And the truth of the matter is, we all have choices in life. And we may use the excuse that I have to, but it's not always the case. Yes, somebody has to make dinner. It doesn't have to be you. And if you're somebody that's single and you're like, well, kind of Sunny, it does. Not really. I mean, you do have choices. You could go and get something somewhere to eat. Okay, well, then it's expensive. That's not what we were talking about. What we're talking about is you don't have to do it. People will always find excuses, and I am really good at walking you out of those excuses because I've done them all. I've said them. I know. I've been there. I had a lot of excuses. So when you say yes all the time, so back to that question, listen to your body. So I was a yeser. I said yes all the time. And then I would resent it. And then I'd feel overwhelmed. And then I'd feel angry. And then I'd feel frustrated with myself. And then I'd be frustrated with them. How do they expect me to do this? Well, you told them you would. And of course, knowing me, I'll do it. Because if I said I would, I'm gonna. But then I could resent it the whole time. Well, one of the things that I started to realize in some of those situations was I don't want somebody doing something for me out of resentment, ever, out of obligation, ever. I want people to do things with me and for me, to help me and to support me because they want to. And so I realized, well, Sunny, if you want that, it's not fair for you not to be that. And so that's how that started to shift for me. Is I made a choice, a conscious choice, that if it felt good to me and I wanted to do it, then I would, but I was going to be in it 100%. And if it didn't, I wasn't going to say yes just because I wanted them to like me. And I've lost a lot of people that at one time liked me. And that's okay. Because guess what? I found a whole bunch more. And so will you. Okay, so let's go back to some of the comments. A lot, I'm sure. So we'll just go through, pick which ones you ever that jump out to you, Chris.
Okay. The proverbial elephant in the room. I absorb the energy of the thing that no one is talking about. I don't know what it is that is not being said and take it personal, thinking it's me.
Yeah. Okay. Number one, if you know you do that, then you can just cancel out the fact that it's you. So just don't go there. Go, okay, yeah, I know I'm going to go to the place where I think it's about me, but you know what? Not everything is about me. So try and have that conversation with yourself. The elephant in the room, I usually talk to. So if there's something that people aren't talking about, I tend to be the one that says, well, so what about this? Let's talk about it. Let's get it out. Let's communicate about it. And that's not always comfortable for people. And I can't tell you that it's always comfortable for me. But it is more uncomfortable for me to pretend that it isn't there, to not be honest about it, and to not be honest about how I'm feeling with it there. So I may say something like, so we going to talk about this or what? And most of the time people are like, no, we'll just skip over it. And I'm like, that won't work for me. It won't work for me. Doesn't feel okay. So I honor how it feels to me. And some people choose not to talk about it, and others choose to talk about it. But I have to acknowledge it. Okay?
My husband loves action movies, but they make me sick. My constant no to watching with him was very hard for him to understand. He says we can't always like the same things, but that's what marriage is all about.
So marriage is about compromise. Yes. And it depends on how you feel. If it doesn't feel good to your spirit, then I would say it doesn't feel good to my spirit. And find other things to do outside of action movies. And I have this in my house. It's not action movies, but my husband and my son watch that Walking Dead, and it's about zombies. And I don't. My spirit is too sensitive to watch a lot of television, let alone that. And so as soon as it comes on, I bail. I'm out. And a couple of times, at this point, for as long as I've been doing this, they don't even try to talk me into it. So, but a couple of times, they're like, well, it really isn't that bad. Like it really isn't that bad. But I'm like, it doesn't matter to me. So I just go and do something that feels good to me. Now, if that bothered my husband, he'd have to get over it. Sorry. That's a boundary for me. I'm not going to watch it. Just like a boundary for him is he's not going to watch Grease with me for the 150th time. He's just not going to. And so I have to be okay with that and find other things that we do connect with. But if you break your boundary to try to make somebody else happy, it's hurting you. And then you set them up to expect it over and over and over again. See, the thing with boundaries is once you decide what they are and you create them and communicate them, because you have to do that, then it's your responsibility to hold them, nobody else's. So just because you made a boundary doesn't mean that people are going to go, oh, okay, you made a boundary, I'm going to stop doing that. They're probably going to push against it even harder. And it's your responsibility to hold that boundary, not theirs. And it doesn't mean that they don't love you if they don't hold it. It means they're being who they are. They're doing what they've always done. They're following a pattern that's been there for years, that's ingrained in them, whether it's from your relationship or something that happened before. So you get to choose what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And if it doesn't feel good to you, don't do it. Now, there might be times where it feels okay. There's once in a while where they're going to go see a movie that might be a little more kind of action than what I might watch, but I might go because I feel like I want to. Then I listen. And sometimes I put the movie over like this and I kind of hide a little bit from some of the parts that are a little bit to me. I listen to my spirit because overall, that's going to tell me what's healthy for me and what isn't. Okay, another question?
I speak my truth, and in return, I'm alone.
Yep, that can happen. It is sometimes lonely. What I would tell you is I would look at how do you speak it? Do you speak it from a place of love? Or do you speak it from a place of frustration, anger, resentment, judgment, criticism? Do you speak it from a place of, I know better than you? Or do you speak it from a place of, I'm just honoring me? And it's very different. And I don't know what your answer is. That's one of the things that we have to look at. And it can be lonely. It can be a very lonely place when you are really in a place of clearing out the things in your life that don't serve you any longer. And boundaries do that. But it also creates an opportunity for new energies to come in. Okay, you got another one?
Yep. I let people get close and then they use me.
Yeah. So, okay. So take a breath before I answer this, okay? Every doormat says welcome. And people can't use you without your permission. And I think you know that that's true. And we have to get out of the victim role of they're using me and instead say, I allow people to use me because in those moments, it feels good to have somebody around, or it feels good to have somebody to spend time with, or it feels like they care. It doesn't mean that they don't care. People that are using people, it doesn't always mean that they don't care. There's something that they care about, or they wouldn't be there. But sometimes they're there to teach you how to speak up and not be used. An example of that, when I was a teenager and when I was 16, for my 16th birthday, my dad bought me a convertible Cavalier, brand new. So it was a 2000 or a 2000. I'm really young. A 1987 convertible Cavalier. And it was a beautiful brand new car. And I had already quit high school. I'd quit high school over a year earlier. Well, about a year earlier. But boy, did the phone calls start coming in after I got that car because number one, I had wheels and I had really nice ones. And so people would want to come, ask me to come pick them up. They'd invite me to go see a movie with their friends. And I would think, oh, okay, cool. I get to be a part of their friends. But then I would be separated or isolated, or sometimes they would hang with me during that, but then afterwards they wouldn't talk to me again until the next time. And it really, really hurt my spirit. It really broke my spirit because I already struggled so much with having people in my life and friends and people that I could trust, and because I never felt like I fit in. And it caused me at that time, without the conscious awareness of it, it caused me to really hold people at a distance and to not trust them. Even though I let them in, I let them in all the time. I didn't trust them because I didn't trust myself. So people can't use you without your permission. And as soon as you quit giving permission, you will attract a different kind of people. And I say that with a lot of love because I've been there. Another one, Chris?
Yeah. People not taking no for an answer drives me crazy. I just want to run and hide when they continue to do this over and over again, trying to make me say yes.
Okay. So with saying no, let's just practice this a little bit. So if somebody says, will you head up the fundraiser? And you don't want to, and you say no. Well, you know what? We really need you. You're so good. You've done it for the last 17 years and you know how to do it and you know everybody. Could you just, we'll get you lots of help. No. Well, but we're going to be lost. We're not going to have any money. The kids aren't going to be able to eat. Whatever the story is. No. Now, what usually happens for people when they start to learn how to say no is they don't actually say no. They say, I can't because blah, 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 blah. And when people hear your blah, 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 they look at the way that they can make that work. Oh, well, if you can't do it on Thursdays, Sunday's fine. Or, oh, well, if you can't be there for the whole time, 2 hours is okay. Or if you can't be the head of it, you can be the assistant. Or if you can't be the president, you can be the treasurer. So when you try to explain why you can't do something, you open the door wider. And then when they do it again, you open the door wider. Your response can be as simple as, that won't work for me. I am really sorry, but that will not work for me. The end. The end, the end, the end. You don't have to explain yourself. Nobody there's no answer that's going to be good enough for someone who really wants you to do something. And believe me, I know I've had a lot of people try to talk me into a lot of stuff. I'm sure many of you have. And they'll find a way if you give them that doorway. Shut the door. The other way, for those of you that don't want to say no, you're like, I don't know, maybe I do, I don't know. And say, you know what, let me think about that for a few days. Or I always say, you know what, I want to meditate on it. And I do meditate on it, and then I'll get back with them, because if I don't feel completely clear when they ask, which most of the time I do, but if I don't feel completely clear when they ask, I meditate on it. I had a situation happen a couple months ago, that somebody came to me and asked me to do something. I couldn't get clear on it. I meditated on it for 2 weeks, and I got clear on it. And then I called them and gave them my answer. So you can do that. But if you really know you don't want to do it, then I am so sorry, but that is just not going to work for me. Done. That's the way I would say it. That just won't work for me. And if you want to say, you know what, it doesn't feel right to me, say that. Whatever language you want to use. But don't open the door, well, because my son's coming home and I don't want to miss. Oh, well, we'll do it the next day. Don't explain yourself. Okay? Let's do one more, Chris.
Not being true with what I want, not speaking my truth.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Not being true with what you want. A lot of times that's because you're scared that you're going to be judged. You're afraid that you're not going to get it. And you don't feel worthy of it. Those are the three things that stand out to me. There could be others, but those are the three that stand out to me. And so, first thing, the work then really is for you to get into a vibrational space that allows you to see from a higher perspective, that allows you to know your value and your worth, that gives you an opportunity to be in an energy within yourself of recognizing who you really are. You are spirit embodied, and you in your spirit are equal to me, or you in your body are equal to me in my body. So if you're watching right now, whatever body you're in, wherever you are, we could trade and we'd still be the same, meaning we're equal. There's no difference. Your spirit is embodied in the body that you chose, believe it or not, and my spirit is embodied. The spirit within us is of equal value. It's of equal value. So my spirit could go jump on your body and it has the same value over there as it has here. Or it could jump into so-and-so's body and it has the same value there that it has here. But we don't look at that. We look at value based on the external, based on how we look and how much money we have, and if we have the 2.2 kids, and if we have the house, and if we're 115 pounds, and blah, 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 blah. That's all bullshit. That's not where the value is never about the external. It's always about the internal. Always, always, always. So you have the same value. So you are worthy. So you do deserve simply because you're here. And when you can't share what it is you really want, it's usually because you're afraid you don't deserve it or you're not going to get it. And when you're in a place to not share what you want, you're not going to get it. Okay, you're not going to get it, because if you don't attract, if you can't own that energy, you can't bring it to you. You can't attract it to you. So you have to get out of your own way. Love yourself enough. Know that you are worthy. We have the same energy within us. So if I can create what I've created, you can create whatever you want to create. Julian Lennon created what he wanted to create. Elvis created what he wanted to create. Oprah creates what she wants to create. Every one of us has the same amount of spirit within us that has the capacity to create everything that you ever desired. It isn't that, one body got more than the other. They didn't. They didn't. Okay, I feel like I need to do one more, Chris.
I care for my child with a disability. It takes a lot of my energy and can be very overwhelming. How do you balance your energy when you have such a large responsibility?
That's a great question. And I think a lot of people, I haven't ever had a child that has had a major disability like that. I've had a child that's had some quote unquote disabilities, but not to that extent. But I think a lot of people could put different words in there and they would feel the same. So your question was, how do you balance your life when you have such a major responsibility? Well, I think that a lot of people would say that I have a major responsibility in my work environment, in having to go to work every day and keep a household running, men or women. I think that people could say that about their responsibility to help their children out. I think people could say that about their responsibility for an illness that they created and how do they balance their energy. How you balance your energy is you make sure that you're honoring your needs, and you make sure that you ask for help, and you make sure that you allow those opportunities for help to come to you. So it's not good enough to just ask for it, but it's important to then receive it. So I've got to ask and put my hand out and let that energy and that support come back to me. If I just ask, but I keep myself closed like this, then it can't come to me. It won't come to me. I won't allow it to come to me. And instead, oftentimes, I don't know if this is a case for you, but oftentimes people become a martyr. Well, I have to do this, and poor me, and that's my lot in life. And I'm not saying that it's easy, and I'm not negating the difficulty in it, but I'm saying almost everyone has some very deep sense of responsibility in their life that they could allow to hold them back. And if you could ask for help and ask for support and allow yourself to receive it, that's how you bring the balance in. That's how you bring the peace in. And, meditation is great. And even just going for a walk or going outside for 15 minutes is great. Those are things that bring you into balance. And see, when you're not holding your boundaries, it's very likely you're out of balance. It's absolutely critical. So these are the things, this is what we have to do. And I want to make sure I get to this because I know our time's getting close. When you are wanting to create boundaries, number one, you have to decide what is the boundary that you need to create. Well, I would look at the areas of my life that I'm having the most struggle. What are my issues? Is it that I'm saying yes to everybody? Is it that I feel like I'm going to disappoint people? Is it that I'm not honest with myself? Kind of those questions we went over before. Look at those questions, and you can watch this over again. So look at those questions and the ones that you answered true, and go, okay, that's a priority. That's an area that I need to get some boundaries in. So once you decide that, you want to look at, is it an inflexible boundary? Am I very rigid in that? Is it that I've had collapsible boundaries where I make a boundary and then I let it go, and then I make a boundary and I let it go, and I make a boundary and I let it go? Or can you find healthy boundaries? So the rigid is the one that's, I'm a control freak and I'm going to make sure this absolute way. We want to have some flexibility in it. The collapsible boundaries are the ones that so many people have, where they say, no, you can't do that. And then they do it again, and then they do it again, and they do it again. And then it gets just exhausting. And so then you just don't do it anymore. And I've been there too. So I understand that. It's like, whatever. That always hurts you. It always hurts you. So once you have the boundary, once you recognize where you need the boundaries, and remember, every doormat says welcome, so don't be a doormat any longer. People cannot take advantage of you without your permission. So once I know the areas that I need the boundaries, so let's say I need a boundary in saying no. Then I have to look at, okay, this is an issue for me. So what is my response going to be? How am I going to handle that? And so my response might be, that's not going to work for me, or that doesn't feel right for me right now. And then I'm going to practice that, continuously practice that. And then this is the challenge, is when people push against that. And they will. I guarantee you they will push against it, because you need to get stronger. And so the universe can give you opportunities to get stronger and make sure you're clear about your boundaries. So you will have plenty of chances. Okay? So then as you get stronger, and you continue to enforce that boundary, it will be easy. Then it'll be kind of natural. But until you get strong, it's going to take a lot of your time and attention, energetic attention also, to hold that boundary. Oh, I'm going down that road. Shit, I said yes to 5 people, and you know what? That last one didn't feel good. And you have to clean it up. So you go back to that person, you say, you know what? I realized that I agreed to do this yesterday, but I wasn't really tuned in to what felt right to me, and this just doesn't feel right to me. And I'm sorry that I agreed to it, because I know that you counted on me. But at this point, I realize that I'm just not your person. Be honest. Don't get into it and wait 10 days later and not tell somebody, and then be have them all dependent on you, and then be so angry and frustrated and all of those things. Do not do that, because you will set yourself up for a lot of pain. Okay. So decide where you need the boundaries, make the boundaries, and communicate the boundaries. So for the people in your life, like the example that I used with my husband, after that conversation, he said, "Well, you never asked." After I settled down for a couple of days, because I was pissed that he would even say I should have asked. And then I got it. And then I went to him and I said, "Okay, I'm asking. I'm asking. I'm saying, you know what, this is too hard for me." And so I communicated that boundary that said, "You know what, on one night you need to cook dinner, and the other night I'll cook dinner of the nights that I was gone." And it was fine. And then it felt good. It felt at ease. And I didn't have a challenge with that after that first time, because I blew up, really. Don't get to the place where you have to blow up. The other thing is, once you've gotten the boundary and you've decided what it is and you've communicated that boundary, then you have to hold the boundary. Again, remember, it's nobody else's responsibility, it's yours. But one of the things that happens is that, especially in our closer circles, usually family, because they're our greatest teachers, part of the communication with boundaries is that people struggle with how to maintain them. And how to express my feelings around them. And this is part of a language set that you can use, because you want to use I statements. So, and what I mean by I statements is it makes it always about me. It's not ever about you. It's always about me, because it is always about me. Your experience within you is always about you. Your response to other people's experiences is always about you. Okay. So I statements. So an I statement could be something to the effect of, when you call me to invite me to go to dinner, but then you have 10 other friends come, I feel like I'm being used. And what I really would like to experience is a time where maybe we go out to dinner on our own. So it's, when blank happens, I feel blank. And what I'd really like to feel or experience is blank. That's kind of the language loop that you would use. Now, it doesn't mean people are going to agree, and it doesn't mean that people are going to do it. But what it means is I'm setting it up, and I'm communicating clearly what it is that I feel I need right now. And some people will hear that, and some people won't. And some people will follow it, and some people won't. Don't have expectation that they have to follow it. Have an expectation that you're going to hold your ground. So if that didn't happen, then I'm not going to choose to go out to dinner. It's not a threat. It's saying, I get to choose how to spend my energy. And if it doesn't feel good to me, I don't want to do it. Remember, you deserve to feel good. Boundaries are a beautiful thing if they're communicated and if they're maintained. If they're not communicated and not maintained, they make a great big mess. Okay. So when you think about boundaries, look at your life. Where are the areas that you know you need help with this? And then get clear about it and get focused on what you can do, because you are responsible for your energy. Nobody is doing anything to you. I know people don't like to hear that. I was in a victim role and a martyr role for many years. I get how we're there, but nobody's doing anything to you without your permission. So choose something different and communicate it. And then if they don't follow the boundary, then maintain that boundary. You know what? And if this doesn't happen, if you continue to beat me, I am going to leave. And if they put one more hand up, leave. That's the boundary, right? My boundary when my son was born, those first couple of years, my boundary that I broke probably 50 times was, if you keep drinking, I'm going to leave. If you keep drinking, I'm going to leave. If you keep drinking, I'm going. That was our fight freaking every single day. How many of you have done that? You say it because you're frustrated. You say it because you're angry, and you really mean it, but you don't really mean it. So my boyfriend at the time, it went in with one ear and out the other. By the time I said it the 30th time, I was like, yeah, that's just like part of her language. She just says that. Guess what? One day I meant it. Now, I didn't enforce it many of those times. Sometimes I moved out for a couple of days here or there, once in a while. But one day came. And one day, that one day was the day that I don't know what happened. I don't know how I crossed that line. God, I wish I did, because I would tell you. But I think what happened was I had conviction within myself. I am not going to say this one more time and put myself down by allowing it to happen again. And so that last time I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm leaving. And he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me. And I moved out while he was gone into a house. Didn't talk to him for a few days. And then, I'll be damned, he found me. Actually, I found him. Actually, I created the boundary. I said, I'm done. You won't quit drinking. I'm not doing this anymore. I moved out. I found a house. I had no money. I was on welfare and food stamps and just trying to barely live. I found a house. I lived there for 5 days, and he never came to find me. He never even looked for me. He was on a 5-day drunken spree and never even knew I left. I was so pissed. How can I take my son and all of my shit out of our shack house and you don't notice I'm gone? He never had come home. And so that made me mad. So I went in search of him to let him know that I'd left. How sick is that? Seriously, that's a true story. He didn't even know I was gone. And so then I had to go show him, hey, I left. And a week or so later, he was starting to come back to the house that I had moved into, started visiting me. I let him right back in. Now, I had a little bit better boundaries. I didn't let him drink around me. I didn't let him drink in that house, but he was still drinking. And then the day came where I said, if you don't quit drinking by the end of the year, I'm leaving. And I used that as my goal. And that was 7 months away. If you don't leave by the end of the year, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. And I reminded him. I held my boundary. I reminded him. And yeah, I didn't see him change. But I was giving him till the end of the year. And on December 27th, my uncle died, who lived in California, which is where I lived at the time. On December 27th, my uncle died, and my parents said, we're coming down to go to Uncle's funeral. And they were in another state. They were in Arizona. I was in California. And December 27th, December 31st, 4 days difference. I said, bring the truck. And I made sure that I said that out loud to several people. I'm leaving. I packed up my stuff so that I would be accountable for myself. That was my boundary. And I left. And it was one of the hardest things I did ever in my life. And one of the best. I did not ever cry another tear over that situation. I cried them over the fact that my son would miss his dad or not know his dad, which is his birth father. I cried over a lot of different things, but I never cried again over the fact that I didn't love myself enough to do something different. Not one more tear. And you can all do the same. I believe in you.